करने के में भरा है
With this, I would like to invite all of you to join with me for Hanumanyan Oath.
अरे
Everyone with me?
Hello. Everybody
Hello.
is requested to mute microphone and switch off your camera, please. Everybody is requested to mute microphone. Okay, Dr. Dikshit, please begin.
Okay, thank you, sir. With this, I would like to invite all of you to join with me for Hanumanyan Oath. On my honor, I swear that I shall practice the teaching of homeopathy, perform my duty, render justice to my patient, and help the sick whosoever comes to me for treatment. May the teaching of Master Hanuman inspire me, and may I have the strength for fulfillment of my mission. This homeopathy Saturday study group is created by students for the students of homeopathy under guidance of Professor Dr. Kamlesh Mehta. The aim of this study group is to evolve prescription skill by sharing through apply Hanumanyan fundamental. This event is supported by our clinical partner Homeopathic Panasya Clinic, academic partner Hanumanyan Gurukul, event partner Homeopathy Charity and Homeopathy Fraternity. This web workshop series is regularly organized on every fortnight on Saturday 9:30 to 11 p.m. and it is absolutely free for learning purpose. Experienced practitioner and teacher are also invited to join to inspire and to help budding homeopaths. This is our 11th session and we are happy to share with you that we have crossed 1,000 participants in this group. This shows participants are enthusiastic for learning and this mutual learning must continue to fellowship. Good evening and welcome you all to Homeopathy Saturday Study Group. Let me give you brief introduction of our guest, Professor Dr. Preeti Muni. She is currently principal at Swami Vivekanand Homeopathic Medical College, Bhavnagar. She is practicing in homeopathy since last 32 years. She has done her MD in Materia Medica from VH Dave Medical College in 2006. She has done her PhD from Bhavnagar Institute in 2016. She has taken her training ICR from Vadodara Group. She is a professor in medicine department since last 12 years. It is very interesting to know her journey, that how she reached her. We will get know directly from her later in this session. Today we have two speakers and I would like to request all participants to take maximum benefit from speaker and guest because
Hello, Dikshita. Meeting is closed right now, I think. Hello, Dr. Dikshita. Not
Sorry, sir.
audible. You are not
Hello.
audible till date. But right now you are audible.
Okay, sir. Continue with session. Introduction of our guest, Professor Dr. Priti Muni. She is practicing in homeopathy since last 32 years. She has done her MD in Materia Medica from VH Dave Medical College in 2006. She has done her PhD from Bhavnagar Institute in 2016. She has taken her training ICR from Vadodara Group. She is a professor in medicine department since last 12 years. It is very interesting to know her journey, that how she reached her. We will get know directly from her later in this session. Today we have a two speaker, and I would like to request all participants to take maximum benefit from speakers and our guests, because this is an interactive session. Now I would like to welcome our first speaker, Dr. Manali Jain. Introduction of Dr. Manali Jain. She has done her graduation from CMP Medical College, Mumbai. She has done her MD from ML Dhawale Medical Institute in Palghar. She is working as a clinical consultant at Panacea Homeopathic Clinics in Mumbai with Professor Dr. Kamlesh Mehta. Today her topic is role of morbid phenomenon in selection of simillimum. With this, I would like to hand over mic to Dr. Manali Jain. Please welcome ma'am and please share your experience. Now started the first speaker session, Dr. Manali Jain.
Hello, Dr. Dikshita. Please make Dr. Manali co-host or host so that she can share her screen.
Okay, sir. Dr. Yuvraj.
I am able to share. I am able to share.
Okay, sir. Dr.
Okay.
Manali, please go ahead.
Is it visible? Is it visible?
It is visible, Dr. Manali. Go ahead.
Visible.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Dikshita. So the topic is role of morbid phenomena in selection of homeopathic remedy. So we'll directly go with the case. So before starting the case, let us go through the background history. This case at present is of a 4-year-old baby who is on treatment with us since she was 1.5 month old. Her mother was and is under our treatment for severe episodes of her migraine and primary infertility and debility. This child is an IVF child. She was a working professional and it was a late marriage. And she was having adjustment issues with her husband also and with her in-laws also. And for her infertility, she was taking medicines for her migraine and her debility, but then for her primary infertility, then she had stopped medications because her husband did not allow her to take medications for the same. Then post the birth of the child, later they started with the treatment, and even the child's father also started the treatment. So treatment history. The child first had came to us with complaints of recurrent diarrhea. The diarrhea was very forcible and 1.5 months तो तभी dentition भी नहीं था. The child was very hot, in easy perspiration and there was redness of the anal region, anal canal, and the child would get very cranky with the episodes. He would weep. मतलब लिटरली पूरे कैबिन में शोर था, मतलब इतना जोर से वो क्रैंकी, उतना आवाज. इट वाज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मैनेज दैट चाइल्ड. Mother was that time having pregnancy history. Mother was facing through a lot of anger issues, but she could not express her anger because she had issues with her in-laws. On this, along with that, on rocking feel better. So we had started the child on chamomilla. Child was on chamomilla from 5th to 28th of January. Then later, but again recurrent episodes of diarrhea were coming up. The whole case was, and further changes at the level were also up. The child had become very obstinate. It was around 5th month, which was also over, but the child anterior and the posterior fontanelles, they were open, and the child's development was also not that good. She was very lean, thin. She was very obstinate, and the crankiness was not settling. Then there was perspiration on the forehead, and along with that, she would not leave mother's milk. Jab tak she would not take the milk, she would not even sleep at the night, and she was constantly clinging to the mother. So she was started on sanicula. After sanicula, her cold and cough, her diarrhea, everything started settling down. Even her complaints of her bedwetting, she had developed eczema, she had difficulty in meaning it settled. Then after diarrhea, she landed up with constipation, which was also very severe. That also came under control with sanicula. Her bedwetting, her behavioral changes, her recurrent respiratory tract infections, her motion sickness, she was complaining, that was also getting initially better. But then it started increasing so much that it was not getting better with sanicula. She was on sanicula from 28th of Jan 2019 to 1st of June 2022. Then during this June period, she was getting recurrent complaints of cough, which was affecting the whole lower tracheobronchial tree. And by that time, she was on sanicula 50 mg. She was responding well. But recurrently complaints were coming, and the cough was continuously lingering. And even at that time, her motion sickness almost had become daily. So we reassessed the case, and then we put her on sanicula 50 mg. But that again did not help her in relieving her cough. So considering the same data, and we asked mother for further changes, what has happened in her. So she was the same. Hot patient remained the same. She would never take covers. Even during fever, she would not take covers. Then she had a lot of hairs in her body, but that was since the beginning. Unusual growth of hair, like being a female, she had around her chin also, she had around her lip also, and even on her back, on her hands, feet, everywhere she's just filled with hairs. You will see in further pictures also. And Considering all this history, and then mentally, she's a very restless child. She wanted to do certain activity again and again, and that also at the level of sports. She would never sit on one place. Even when the fever would be very less, she would again get back to her activity. Considering all this, she was started on tuberculinum. But tuberculinum completely relieved her respiratory cough which she was getting, the lower respiratory cough, but it was having no effect on the motion sickness. Despite we repeated the dose, we did everything, and this motion sickness was a daily phenomenon. So somewhere the remedy was partially acting. So again, we reassessed, we spoke with the patient again, and she had motion sickness when she would start on any particular motion activity, and considering her prior details also, that she's a rachitic, she has hairy growth, she doesn't take covering, she is hot patient, and she would not take covering because she would develop perspiration on the parts which she laid, and she would get perspiration because she would get heated up, and nausea on matlab, as soon as the vehicle starts moving, she gets nausea. So she was given Briannia, and again an irritable and a cranky child. Briannia diya hi tha, just we had given Briannia, and then she developed this hand, foot, mouth. So this is 4-year-old female. Multiple children in the school had been diagnosed with hand, foot, mouth. So in day 1, she complained of ulcers, reddish forming ulcers, blisters in her mouth with her usual coated tongue. She was unable to eat anything solid, liquid. She was cranky as she is hungry, but she can't eat anything. So the ulcers had gone little towards her throat side also. We asked for an image because the patient was staying far. She could not come to the clinic. So, but image भी नहीं मिल रहा था. So she was cranky as she was hungry, and there was pain in the right side of her leg. She was little warm to touch, which was felt more on her head, but she had no temperature, which was checked. So considering that same thing, she was on Briannia, so we repeated a single dose. Because there were no eruptions which have been developed. जो भी था माउथ में अल्सर्स था, एंड माउथ के अल्सर्स भी दिख नहीं रहे थे. It was just mild reddish. Day 2, the lesions in the mouth, they started to increase. Now she is not able to take liquids also. Even on taking little liquid, she would shout that I don't want to eat anything, don't give me anything. She developed reddish vesicular lesions on her hands, legs, and on her knees. There was body ache, but there was no fever. She was advised to take Briannia 200 TDS. These were her lesions. If you all can observe here, in the legs, here, she started developing vesicular lesions. So we got confirmed that this is hand, foot, mouth only, because 50% of her class were suffering from this. So it was a sporadic disease which was occurring. And these were the lesions on her knee. So we gave 200 TDS. So let's see the follow-up. So on day 3, her crankiness had increased a lot. Like, she is a person who loves chocolates. doesn't like sweet much, but she loves chocolates. She wanted to eat the chocolate desperately, but she ate little, and then she threw it in the dustbin. And then they are like, you like chocolate, chalo kha lo, thoda to kha le, ye vagera. She said, first she said, ki keep it in the fridge, I'm not well, I will eat later. But then when she was said again, nahi kha le vagera, she got very angry and she said that throw that chocolate in dustbin and I don't want it. Only you can understand the plight of a chocolate lover. How can a chocolate lover will tolerate a chocolate in a dustbin? Then on background of the call, she was even shouting at her grandparents on trifles. I was like, let us ask her what is happening with her, kya ho raha hai. She refused to speak with me. She was around people, but she was not actively playing with them. She was not her usual self. She wanted to lie down. You are giving a patient was tuberculosis. अचानक वो कहाँ से इतना lie down करने? She's a very playful child. I asked mother, why is she getting so cranky? And lesions में कोई pain नहीं है, कुछ burning नहीं है, कुछ itching नहीं है. So what is making her cranky? Night fever है, कुछ भी नहीं है. She is getting cranky because she is not able to eat and she is very hungry. And 2 दिन से उसने कुछ भी नहीं खाया है. आज तो उसने फिर then she had eaten ice cream in the evening and dry bhel and little warm milk. Lesions were pustular, filled with whitish pus and reddish border, and it increased in size. Few of the lesions became papule became vesicular, and mild itching had started in the lesion. Head and abdomen region was mildly warm, but the rest of the body was cold. There was no fever. And in the afternoon, she kept herself bare-chested and she just wore shorts. So these were the lesions. You can see the number of lesions have increased. And now they have become more vesicular. Temperature was 98.9. We have already repeated the dose of Briannia and we have made it frequently. So what should we do at this juncture now was a question which came in my mind. क्या करना चाहिए? ब्रायनिया ही कंटिन्यू करना चाहिए या ऐसे ही चलना चाहिए? क्या करना चाहिए?
Can group help Dr. Manali at this point of time? Or she has to find out her own way out? Hello, group. Any suggestions?
अच्छा, ब्रायनिया कंटिन्यू करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए? Change the prescription.
Yeah, very good.
Continue करना चाहिए.
Okay.
SL पे रखना चाहिए. अरे पर चेंज क्यों करना चाहिए, और कंटिन्यू भी रखना चाहिए तो क्यों करना चाहिए कंटिन्यू? रीजन तो होना चाहिए ना कुछ. देयर हैज टू बी सम रीजन, नो? As the generals have not improved, we can give her anti-miasmatic medicine.
Which one? Anti-miasmatic, which one? Pyrogenum, tuberculum bovinum, syphilinum, melorinum.
But sir, ये disease miasmatic, अभी तो हमने बोला sporadic है.
Dr. Manali, the points are very worth considering because people are telling generals have not improved. So give anti-miasmatic or give SL and observe the patient. And some people say that we continue with bryonia. So really a confusing situation for the patient, isn't it?
Since she got acute episode, we can give a story.
Okay, so what was your situation and how you prefer to proceed ahead, Dr. Manali?
I was in two mindset. पहली बात, it is hand foot mouth disease. It's a self-limiting disease also. So do I allow the eruptions to come or do I don't allow the eruptions to come? Do I change or do I what? Is this disease taking its own natural progress spore? क्या चल रहा है? But as her generals were not improving and she even developed fever 98.9, जो इतने दिन से नहीं चल रहा था, even though she was warm. And the day by day I'm seeing that she's not able to tolerate her food. मतलब she's not eating anything. Solids भी नहीं, liquid भी नहीं. She was eating completely nothing. I thought to review it. I went through the whole history again. She had delayed dentition after 8 months, and after that also the tooth were erupting very slowly. She had flat feet. She was in general. She was advised sunlight. She had to take supplements. Still this was her state. She had aversion to sweets but except chocolates. She liked sour. She had history of liking for salt also and disliking for salt also. Thermally, she was a hot patient. She wants AC in all season. She takes bath with lukewarm water, but that also has to be on a colder side. She will keep herself bare-chested and wear shorts if there is excessive heat. She wants thin clothing. In fever also, she will not take covering. She had nausea while riding in car, bus as soon as it sets in motion. Occasionally, she vomits. Hairy. Her whole body is covered with thin hair, thick hair. She has a very thick eyebrow. There is hair on her upper lip around her chin. There is recurrent complaints of gases and respiratory tract infection. As an infant, she had complained of offensive diarrhea with redness of the anal canal and later complained of severe constipation for which she was on chamomilla and sanicula. She has aggravation from fasting. When she is hungry, she has to eat something or she'll get angry. And when she will eat, she'll eat in a good proportion and frequent meals. Now she has grown little old. So I asked mother again, what are the changes? So first she said that she's not so, because tuberculin was also given little a month back only. So first I asked and it was not acting. So first I asked about her, ki how is she as a person, and what you had told me about her physical activity. She's like, no, she can stay at one place. Now, like in fever, she's staying at one place. She's not roaming here and there, or she's not hyperactive. In she'll give her one toy, she'll sit it at one place and she'll play with it. She's irritable and cranky only at home. Outside, she's very timid. Even if she's been beaten, and if anyone, then also she will not revert back. She will speak in a very low volume if anything is asked in the class. कि teacher पूछते क्या है, इसका जवाब. तभी she will speak very slow, in a low volume. While playing, she has to win under any circumstances. If she loses, she gets angry on the parents. Like if there is any passing the parcel रहेगा या ludo रहेगा, especially in ludo, she has to win. If she doesn't win, then she will start crying and then she will get very angry on the parents. She will पूरा ludo का board ही उल्टा कर देगी. To the outsider, she won't say anything. She will just come back home crying. She is scared of father. When he shouts, she starts trembling and she starts crying. She's very obstinate, gets irritated and cries if not provided with what she wants. She'll keep convincing parents. So ये हिस्ट्री लिया, तब तक लीजन्स इन द नाइट ऐसे हो गए थे. ये पैर के है, लेग्स के है. Developed on the finger. You can see it has a red erythematous border and pustular. ये knees के है. ये हाथ में लीजन्स बढ़ गए, अराउंड एरिथीमा है, लीजन का साइज बढ़ गया है, फ्लूइड बिल्डअप बढ़ गया है. So data also got reviewed. अभी क्या क्या देना चाहिए, क्या करना चाहिए? Lycopodium, right Aditya? But lycopodium on what basis? You can speak with keeping your mic open, Aditya.
Her behavior with the parents out, she is tyrant at home, but she is timid outside. That dispositional quality, moreover, her vesicles, sphere of action is skin, and she is hungry. She cannot eat. Throat is also affected. So based on that, I thought lycopodium might be the.
किसी ने और कुछ सोचा? अभी ये नया डेटा से लगा कि फिर से ब्रायनिया पे जाना चाहिए या कुछ और देना चाहिए या क्या करना क्या चाहिए? डेटा इतना ही मिल रहा है, इससे ज्यादा कुछ है ही नहीं. Calcarea phos. Exteriorization. I didn't understood it. The exteriorization, interior disease. का क्या मतलब इंटीरियर इंटरनल कुछ डिजीज होगा, उसका एक्सटीरियराइजेशन होगा. So I am not understanding this. If you can explain. सर मेरी तरह सब लोग कंफ्यूज थे. देखो मैं ऐसे ही नहीं बोल रही हूँ, सब लोग कंफ्यूज थे कि करना क्या है. बट यू आर इन दिस सिचुएशन, कुछ तो करना ही पड़ेगा ना. अच्छा ब्रायनिया पे जाना है क्या वापस? ये डेटा देख के लगता है कि ब्रायनिया पे जाना चाहिए. So like Aditya, even I thought of lycopodium. सब कुछ होते होते देन मेडिसिन कलेक्ट करते करते उनको 9-11 बज गए. Then day 4 afternoon, whole night was uncomfortable. 2 episodes she vomited out as she consumed half glass of water. In the second vomit she had little phlegm also, and after that she slept for an hour. In the morning she ate 1.5 bread with warm milk. At 11 a.m. gave her watermelon juice. She took 2 sips. Now she was offered soup, but she was not having again. Crankiness increased than what it was in morning. The leg lesions were drying, but the pustules increased. There was no fever again. तो वो जो 98.9 था वो फीवर चला गया. बट ये लीजन्स ऐसे है. तो जनरल इम्प्रूवमेंट था. So as usual, I continued with lycopodium 204 hourly. Evening, head was warm to touch, but there was no temperature. Abdomen was warm to touch. Appetite was better than what was yesterday, but still it was less. She slept in the afternoon. The crankiness was better because her uncle and aunt had also come, so she enjoys their company. The erythema in the lesion was same. So again, general improve हो रहा है, crankiness improve हो रहा है. I continued with lycopodium 200. Day 5, leg eruptions now became pustular from vesicular, and most of the lesions had increased in size. So crankiness was better. She was now playing, but her appetite, she was not taking anything, but she was taking only liquids. There were new lesions on the wrist and buttock region. Itching increased. There was no fever. So these are the lesions. Now the main confusion started. General improve हो रहा है, तो ये lesions नए क्यों आ रहे हैं? Repetition भी increase कर दिया, सब कुछ कर दिया. Why? The lesions now they are more pustular. If we can see, now there is pus filled within. Something is going wrong. We reassess the totality because generals भले improve हो रहे, but the disease is not coming under control. It's going worse. There is erythema. None of the lesions had bursted. everything was improving, everything was increasing. सब में पस भर रहा था. She vomited twice. There was whole night she couldn't sleep. ये सब में भी there was no fever which was coming despite your having an inflammation and a pustule formation. Same totality फिर से reconsider की. Hairy child, pustules. Despite having pustule, you do not see any fever. Her delayed milestones, development of itching in the lesions, the redness, and we gave her calcarea salves. Actually, calcarea salves, sir had already thought before, but I had this mind ka characteristic symptom, ki heart towards superior, inferior. But I could never realize this morbid phenomena which was occurring in her. There is development of pustules and everything is going she is going into a septic state. I kept continuing lycopodium. Despite I could see that the lesions were increasing, there was pus coming up, there is pus being filled in it. The itching has increased, the erythema has increased, the new lesions are being developed. In the evening, morning में 1:45 we started. In the evening, leg lesions, they started drying up. There were no new eruptions. It was going into septic state. So we gave it 2 hours. One eruption, it burst open. Redness increased since afternoon. Appetite was now normal. In how the mother said is like as soon as she took the dose, she just demanded for food and liquid. And उसने इतना खाया जितना वो normally भी नहीं खाती है क्योंकि इतना भूख लगा था उसको. She didn't sleep in the afternoon. She was very active, very playful, not cranky. She was calm. She was happy. We continued with it. Photos she sent on the next day. So you can see the size of these eruptions have reduced. If you see further, the leg eruptions, they were drying up now. Continued with calcarea salve 200 too early. On day 7, almost nothing. She had only 2 eruptions, one here and one on the little finger. One over here. Here, one on the little finger. One was there on the little finger. Everything vanished off. Most of the lesions were opened up. Erythema, no fever. We made it 8 hours. The only thing which I want to focus on this is basically that what we feel is morbid might not be morbid. We take mental symptoms, ye vagera. But what is present in front of us, the physical morbid, we don't understand that. We don't go towards things which we are unfamiliar with. We go to things which we are familiar with and then we prescribe on that. So this case taught me what does actually morbid phenomena is, what is actually morbid in the case. That was the main thing which I learned. Anyone has any doubts or want to know something?
Now it's
Group
time
members? Yeah.
any question answer session. If anyone have any query, you can raise your hand and unmute or mic.
Aditya, repetition was kept frequently because the lesions were pustular filled, and she already had a history of RS being affected on the previous day where she vomited. We did not want her to land up with something septic and whereby she lands up with pneumonia. It's a viral infection. And the lesions, they all are pustular filled. It is not just that one or two is pustular filled. And despite having so much of pus, she's not having fever.
Correct.
Okay, anyone have any question? Please raise your hand. Okay, thank you, Dr. Manali. Now our second today's speaker, Dr. Mayur Jaswani. The introduction of Dr. Mayur Jaswani is, he has...
Dr. Dikshita,
Sir.
our today's guest of honor, Dr. Priti Muni, whether she has any comments to give for this case. Dr. Priti? Professor Principal Dr. Priti Muni, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, please. Nice to see you, Dr. Priti.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. If you have some comments to make for Dr. Manali's case.
Actually, when I was listening to the whole case, sir, I just thought that when you have changed a prescription, repeating bryonia frequently, didn't you think of Rustox at that moment of time? Though it was an epidemic sort of thing in the class, sporadic, whatever you call it as, but the vascular type of the lesions, especially over the hand, feet, mouth. And when we tell it's not only of the skin, it affects the mucosa inside also, and that is why the child is not able to eat. And the crankiness is because of that hunger. So Rustox, I thought, is one of the things that we could have thought in the early stages. Once there is a pustular calcarea self is very much indicated. That is the second part of the story. But in the early part, we could have thought of Rustox as one of the remedy.
Dr. Priti, there is some validity in whatever you are telling. Vascular symptoms and hand-mouth foot disease and progressing and child who is so active. Here only one point that was taking away from Rustox was that patient was sensitive to heat rather than sensitive to cold. So that general that was moving
not matching.
Yeah, sir. So at that point of time, that is why the remedy should not have been given.
Right.
Okay.
And what about the later follow-ups after the hand-mouth foot diseases? What about a motion sickness and the rest of the story? You had to shift to the other CR or something?
Dr. Manali will give a brief summary about that. Dr. Manali?
So after Calcarea Sulphs 200, she was quite well for a period of time. She again had developed an viral infection, maybe 2 weeks after that. That just subsided with 1 dose of Calcarea Sulphs, which normally she was requiring many doses to subside that viral infection, which she was having. And her motion sickness, we asked her again, it's still not under control. So this has happened just recently. And we are still thinking, we are still waiting कि अभी और क्या है. there are many other changes which has happened because she has got a sibling. She's gone into other things, but so we are still left to evaluate that.
So Dr. Manali, what Dr. Preeti Muni is suggesting that this is a general where motion sickness, that is what shifted you from senicula and other remedies. And that required to be improved so that you can say that ensure that yes, this patient is on the way of cure. Now the point is that what requires to be considering is motion sickness is a problem of the inner sensitivity, and that is affecting patient as a whole. Now, if you see the entire repetition of calculus self 200, the speed of the disease was great. It was going into the pustular eruptions and it was increasing with its speed. If you apply aphorism number 26, then your dose of the remedy has to be little stronger than the disease. So disease by itself is so strong, it has affected almost every part of the body, and the lesion was spreading. Not only that, it was going into the infection. So it was no longer remaining vesicular, but pustular. If that is going ahead and you are thinking that this can go into septicemia, so starting your case with 200 by itself, that was a very defensive state of the physician. The physician should have taken a bold step right away to give 1M or even 10M, because the speed of the disease was stronger and it was going at the rapidity. Now, if you are just dealing with now 200, for example, with 200, you had to give very repeated doses, and the things took almost 3 to 4 days to subside. Yeah, see, the lesion started turning from pustular and started receding to the dryness. That occurred in 2 days. But the eruptions, what you had to observe for further for 2 days more. So that is the point, that if you would have given the higher potency at that outset of the case, then this case would have been under control. But there is always a fear of aggravation also when you are giving a higher potency in the child, where we don't have much of the things to rely upon except the observation. But anyways, what Dr. Preeti Muni is telling, that if your remedy is right, then your sensitivity issue should be also tackled. So this is a time to move to the next potency, higher potency, and observe the child, rather than just continuing with 200 and dragging the symptoms relief. We want disposition to be relieved, not only the symptoms. Yes, Dr. Preeti Muni, you had some opinion.
Sir, I think the mother's mental state of the pregnancy and everything has to be also considered basically, because at this point, when we see that the motion sickness is not going out, and all those points have been not covered in the history part, maybe it's not something that is available. I am not sure about. But if we get some positive history of the mother's mental state or the scenario at the family and how the patient is responding to that, I think that will also incorporate some symptoms and we can come to some other simillimum also.
Yeah, you are right. All those states that was observed because right in front of us, this patient from the infertility went into the phase of the conception. So those details are there, and at appropriate point of time, we will again share this case to you all after 3 months of follow-up and see what is the difference, and we will share the details. The purpose of Dr. Manali was that how we get caught up with the images that we have in our mind, and we overlook the evolution, we overlook the morbid phenomenon, and we just get caught up with something which is in our mind, which attracts us. We forget one thing, that aphorism number 7, Dr. Henneman said that disease will take you to the remedy. But rather what happened? we put a cap on the disease and giving the name that you are lycopodium or you are bryonia or you are tuberculinum, because we are in that particular state of the desperation rather than following how the disease is evolving in the natural form. So that was the whole idea, I suppose, Dr. Manali, and that is what she demonstrated very well. Thank you very much, Dr. Preeti Muni, for
Thank you,
your
sir.
special comments and bringing this entire session for the point of discussion. Now, Dr. Mayur Jaswani is our next speaker, and that really needs introduction. Dr. Dikshita.
Okay, sir. Our second today's speaker, Dr. Mayur Jaswani. He has done his graduation from A.J. Savla Homeopathic Medical College, Mehsana. He is the first student of presented homeopathy in WHO. He is the youngest author of homeopathy. His topic for today's session is confusion, confidence, and clinic. With this, I would like to welcome today's speaker, Dr. Mayur Jaswani. Welcome, sir.
Mayur, your mic is off. Please start your mic.
Yes. Hello. Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yes, you're audible.
Hello, everyone. Myself, Dr. Mayur Jaswani, and I'm indubitably thankful to Dr. Kamlesh Mehta. Like, as being his student, he gave me opportunity to speak over here. Sir, शुरू करने से पहले तो इतना ही कहूँगा कि वो गुरुकुल के दिन याद आ गए, because all the members are present here. Dr. Jayesh, Dr. Pankaj, and Dr. Jagruti ma'am, Dr. Sanjay sir, all are here. So before taking much time, I would shift to my presentation. My screen is visible.
Yes, visible.
Okay. So whatever we are doing for the mission. We are here for mission to the humanity. So all the human have their ethics, and the ethics come from both. I would like to start my session with the email call that Dr. Kamlesh sir teaches always. Before you start anything in homeopathy, just remind this oath to yourself and everyone. On my honor, I swear that I shall practice the teaching of homeopathy, perform my duty, render justice to my patient, and the may teaching of Master Honeyman. And I have strength for fulfillment of my mission. So, in front of the many physicians, I am here to share my learning.
By mistake, Dr. Mayur is left, but he will join us soon. You stay calm.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, audible.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, we are audible.
So here we all the students have the doubts like what to do in practice, how to start practice, what is the homeopathic practice, and why Honeyman found the homeopathy, like that is the different from other end. Is there any root connection of the homeopathy everywhere or in other science? As we all know, the Hippocrates, who was the father of medicine, he is known as the observer. He introduced the art of clinical observation as the necessary basics for the pathological diagnosis. Like all the students are asking, like sir की पैथोलॉजी का क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है, हम तो सिर्फ सिम्टम्स ही देखते हैं और सिम्टम सिमिलरिटी मिल गई तो हमें मेडिसिन तो मिल ही जानी है, So we need to understand that pathology is must to learn, because अगर कोई भी disease है तो उसके basic symptom तो fix होते ही हैं. What we are doing in the homeopathy is we find the PQRS. We find the different symptom. This is not fixed in the definition of the disease. That's why we all need to be the observer and learn the pathology. The follower of the Hippocrates is Galen. He is the dissimilar of the Hippocrates and spread with powerful authority the techniques of Hippocrates over the medical world. And what we have seen right now in our today's era, that is the allopathic system of medicine, वो सबसे ज्यादा अगर किसी ने फैलाया है, that is the Master Galen. Then come the Paracelsus. He is the assailer, and he introduced the chemical as well as the physical analysis into the practice of medicine. And he started the new way of the teaching, new way of thinking, and new way of prescribing. But all the things were kept in the agitations, and Master Honeyman, the experimenter, पहली बार ना कोई experimenter बना. All were the follower, the observer, but no one want to do the experiment. And especially our Master Honeyman, what did he experiment medicine on self? That he discovered the symptomatic source of the both pathology and the therapeutic diagnosis, and thereby made the practice of medicine scientific. उससे पहले हम जो practice करते थे medicine की, it was either scientific or the artist or the patient को pain देने वाली थी. But what we need to do in order to start the practice or before the prescribe, that the diagnostic interpretation, we all have the basic knowledge of the interpretation, where to start the case, where to go inside the case. And once we know what is the diagnostic, we can understand what is the prognostic of this case, what is the prognostic of this disease, what is the prognostic of this condition. And then after, you are allowed to therapeutic applications of such medicine. And the diagnosis of the pathological condition is essential for the comparing with other pathological condition, जैसे कि eczema, psoriasis. बहुत सारे स्किन डिजीज एक जैसे ही लगते हैं, बट कंपेयर करेंगे तो ही हमें डिफरेंशिएशन पता चलेगा. एंड एनाटॉमिक सीट, वेयर इट इज लोकेटेड, हाउ इट इज लोकेटेड. तो लोकेशंस जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज रहती है अपनी होम्योपैथी में, दैट इज अ फिजियोलॉजिकल प्रोसेस. Physiology, we all know the normal sensation and the function, where Hahnemann said in aphorism 9 and 10, जब तक vital force normal sensation और function में है, it works good. But वहां से इसका थोड़ा सा भी alteration होता है, it cause the disease itself, means the create the pathology. Once the pathology create, we all should know the etiological factor or the causative factor. Who caused the disease? What caused the disease? Where caused the disease? And then after, go to the therapeutic application of any medicine. तो एक ही बात रहती है, क्वेश्चन ही क्वेश्चन, कंफ्यूजन ही कंफ्यूजन, व्हाट टू डू, हाउ टू डू, व्हाट टू रीड, हाउ टू अप्लाई इट. पढ़ तो लिया, पर उसको अप्लाई कैसे करना है, whom to follow. There are the many schools in the homeopathy, many stalwarts, many legion, many practitioners in the homeopathy. Whom to follow, when to start practice. मतलब हमें ये भी सवाल रहता है कि लोग चलो फाइनल ईयर कंप्लीट कर दिया, इंटर्नशिप कंप्लीट कर दिया, are we able to start the practice or not? And where to start practice? कोई अलग शहर में जाए, कोई और सिटी में जाए, मेगा सिटी में जाए, मेट्रो सिटी में जाए, अपने गांव में अपने शहर में प्रैक्टिस शुरू करें, अपने घर से शुरू करें कि ना करें, ऑनलाइन कंसल्टेशन करें. सो यही सवाल हमारे दिमाग में रहते हैं. Which method to use for the case taking, whether for the sensation, Schlegel, predictive, or the whatever. Which system to use for the case understanding? हम ICR फॉलो करें या पैथोलॉजिकल फॉलो करें या जेरेमी शेर को फॉलो करें? हमें यही सवाल लास्ट तक सताते रहते हैं. पर सारे सवालों का एक ही जवाब होता है, एक्शन. जब तक आप एक्शन नहीं लेते, जब तक आप एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं करते, वी आर द डिसिपल्स ऑफ द एक्सपेरिमेंटर, जब तक हम एक्शन नहीं लेते तब तक ये सवाल ही रह जाएंगे. पूरी जिंदगी ये सवाल रहने वाले हैं कि कब क्या कैसे पढ़ना है. पर जितना पढ़ते जाओगे उसको अप्लाई करना तो सीखो. सो सवाल यही आता है कि अब चलो प्रैक्टिस शुरू कर दी. लाइक ऑल द इंटर्नशिप स्टूडेंट्स आर देयर कि कौन सा केस हम पहले देखें, कौन से केसेस को हम पहले ट्रीट करें. तो आपके पास तो बहुत बहुत केस आते होंगे, रियल रिलेटिव्स पूछेंगे, फ्रेंड्स पूछेंगे. तो मैं सबको कहता हूँ कि मेरा एक सजेशन रहता है कि अपनी 5 उंगलियां रहती हैं, बराबर, जब पांचों मिल जाती हैं तभी एक पंच बनता है. तो हम पहली उंगली से अगर शुरू करें तो कोल्ड, कफ, कोराइजा, इनको क्योर करोगे ना तो धीरे धीरे आपके अंदर कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा. डोंट जंप ऑन द कैंसर. कैंसर इज द लास्ट स्टेज, एंड वेयर यू डोंट नो द कैंसर विल बी क्योरेबल और नॉट क्योरेबल विथ यू. होम्योपैथी कर सकते हैं, बट इस स्टेज पे आप हैं कि आपसे कैंसर क्योर होगा. रादर देन जंपिंग ऑन द कैंसर, पहले कोल्ड कफ कोराइजा को तो ठीक करो, वो आपको भी कॉन्फिडेंस देगा और पेशेंट को भी कॉन्फिडेंस देगा होम्योपैथी में, एज वेल एज जो भी लोग आपसे मेडिसिन लेते हैं उनको आप पे ट्रस्ट बैठेगा। देन बिलीव मी, स्टार्ट योर प्लेस एंड क्लिनिक। डेफिनेटली पहले दिन से पेशेंट आने ही है, देयर इज नो वेटिंग इन द होम्योपैथी। हमारे दिमाग में ये भर दिया जाता है कि वेटिंग पीरियड रहता है, वेटिंग पीरियड रहता है, नहीं, नहीं रहता है। अगर हम अपने बलबूते पे काम करें, हमें पता है कि हमें कोल्ड कफ कोराइजा आता है, हमें बेसिक स्किन डिजीज आते हैं, एलर्जी राइनाइटिस आता है, तो पहले वो देखो ना। डोंट कंपेयर योर सेल्फ विद द अदर डॉक्टर। लाइक किसी ने 40 साल की प्रैक्टिस किया, वो कैंसर क्योर करे, 40 साल के बाद आप भी कर पाएंगे ना। बट आफ्टर 40 years of practice, that physician, that master, that legend is still saying कि हम होम्योपैथी सीख रहे हैं, then who we are to compare ourselves with the other? तो अगर आप ये करोगे ना तो ही आपका क्लिनिक पहले दिन से शुरू हो पाएगा। एंड आई वुड डेफिनेटली से कि अगर आप इंटर्नशिप में आए हैं तो डू वन थिंग, गूगल सबके लिए अवेलेबल है। गूगल मैप पे अपने घर का सिर्फ लोकेशन डाल दो, से कि यहाँ पे होम्योपैथी कंसल्टेशन मिलता है। यू कैन डू लाइक दैट। आप बड़ा बोर्ड नहीं लगा सकते, आप सिंपल वैसे अपने घर वालों के फ्रेंड्स को नियर बाय को ट्रीटमेंट इतना तो दे सकते हैं ना। अब वेयर टू स्टार्ट, अब क्लिनिक का सोचा तो है, पर यही वजह, क्लियर विजन नहीं होता, कंफ्यूजन रहता है और कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं आता। सो क्लियर विजन हमेशा, कोई भी कुछ भी करो, होम्योपैथी करो कि जिंदगी में कुछ भी करो, क्लियर विजन होना चाहिए। अगर हम बाइक लेके रास्ते पे निकलते हैं तो हमारे पास एक क्लियर विजन होता है कि मुझे मेरे घर से निकल के रेलवे स्टेशन या बस स्टेशन जाना, और वहां पे एक वड़ा पाव वाला अच्छा वड़ा पाव देता है और वो मुझे जाके खरीदना है और खाना है। तो ये मेरे पास क्लियर विजन है। इफ आई एम अ फूडी, तो वैसे ही आपके पास क्लियर विजन होना चाहिए। व्हाट यू वांट टू डू विद द होम्योपैथी, you want to do the research, you want to do the only practice, or you want to do better in the academy। like हम भी खुद अच्छे से पढ़ लिए, हमें टीचर बनना है, हम आगे की जनरेशन को भी अच्छे से पढ़ाना और सिखाना चाहते हैं। एंड ऑल थ्री आर द गुड, कोई भी प्लस और माइनस नहीं है, पर इन सबके सेंटर में रहता है प्रैक्टिस। मोर यू डू प्रैक्टिस, मोर यू कैन रिसर्च, मोर यू डू द प्रैक्टिस, मोर यू कैन बी बेस्ड इन द एकेडमी। सो एक चीज याद रखो, प्रैक्टिस मेक्स मैन परफेक्ट। तो जब तक प्रैक्टिस ही नहीं करोगे तब तक आप कितनी भी बातें कर लो कि मैं पिच पे जाके 6 मार सकता हूँ, मैं पिच पे जाके 9 बॉल में फ्री हिट में भी कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ, मुझे कोई आउट नहीं कर सकता, मुझे कोई रन आउट नहीं कर सकता, मैं वाइड बॉल का इशारा जल्दी से समझ जाता हूँ, तो आप कितनी भी बातें करो तब तक पता नहीं चलेगा जब तक आप पिच पे नहीं जाओगे। और पिच पे जाने के लिए पहले प्रैक्टिस होनी चाहिए। आपके पास वो कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए कि अगर जो मैचेस का बॉल है, जो लेदर का है या तो वुड का होगा, और मेरे सामने आएगा तो मैं डरूंगा नहीं, कितनी भी बड़ी चोट क्यों ना लग जाए। तो हमें कंफ्यूजन से बाहर कैसे निकले, कंफ्यूजन से बाहर निकलने के लिए 3T है। फर्स्ट, ट्रस्ट, ट्रस्ट इन योर पैथी एंड ट्रस्ट इन योर सेल्फ। अगर आप होम्योपैथी में आए हैं ना, इट मीन्स कि किसी मकसद से ही आए हैं। मिशन ऑफ फिजिशियन, इट इज नॉट ओनली द मिशन ऑफ फिजिशियन, इट इज द मिशन ऑफ ह्यूमन। आपको किसी मिशन से ही ऊपर वाले ने भेजा है। जाना होता है सबको एमबीबीएस में ही, ज्यादातर हम होम्योपैथी वाले ऑप्शन से होम्योपैथी में आते हैं। बट बिलीव मी, जो भी लोग ऑप्शन से आते हैं वो हमेशा अपनी लाइफ में बेस्ट करते ही हैं, पर उसके लिए उनको खुद में ट्रस्ट होना चाहिए। अब आ गए हैं, एक्सेप्ट इट, और फिर खुद की पैथी में ट्रस्ट। हाँ, मेरी जो पैथी है, होम्योपैथी, इट कैन डू एनीथिंग इन द वर्ल्ड। फिर ट्रॉमा को समझना है। यू हैव टू पास थ्रू द ट्रॉमा, ट्रॉमा ऑफ द सोसाइटी। आपके पेरेंट्स, आपके रिलेटिव, फ्रेंड्स, बहुत सारे आके, भाई तू जीपी कर ले, काश 1 साल रुक जाता, एलोपैथी मिल जाता, होम्योपैथी काम क्या करती है, स्लो है, ये आपको ट्रॉमा देंगे। जब जब आप बोलेंगे कि मुझे होम्योपैथी करना है, तब तक ये ट्रॉमा आपको मिलेगा। और उस वक्त डिमोटिवेट नहीं होता है, उस वक्त आपको देखना है पेशेंट का ट्रॉमा। एक इंसान है जो 10 सालों से एलोपैथिक और दूसरी सारी दवाइयां ले रहा है और वो परेशान हो चुका है। अब वो कह रहा है कि इस दवाइयां लेने से अच्छा तो मैं मर क्यों नहीं जाता। वो थैलियां लेके घूम रहा है दूर दवाइयों की, उसका ट्रॉमा देखो ना। यू कैन डू बेस्ट विथ योर sugar pills, you can do based with your homeopathic pills, a few drops of the medicine, और तब जाके जो टेस्टिमोनियल मिलेगा ना, वो आपका कंफ्यूजन दूर करेगा। तो अगर कंफ्यूजन दूर होगा तो डेफिनेटली कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ेगा। बट कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ाने के रास्ते होते हैं, 3 ही रास्ते हैं, रीडिंग, लर्निंग एंड प्रैक्टिस। रीड एज मच एज यू कैन, वॉट एवर, जो बुक हाथ में है। बेसिक्स को तो पहले पढ़ ही लो। मेरा एक ही मैं सबको कहता हूँ कि रीड द रूट्स टू राइप द फ्रूट्स। अगर रूट्स को नहीं पढ़ोगे, हनीमैन क्या कह के गए थे, हिपोक्रेट्स क्या कह के गए थे, क्लार्क क्या कह के गए थे, बोगर ने क्या कहा, बोर्निंगसन ने क्या कहा, तब तक आप कितना भी एडवांस पढ़ लो, वो अभी का एक्सपीरियंस है। बेस क्या है, बेस को तो समझना पड़ेगा ना। अपनी नींव को इतनी मजबूत बनाओ कि अगर कोई नींव को हिलाने आए ना, तो वो भी टकरा के वापस चले जाए। पर हम सब, वी ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स इन द होम्योपैथी, फर्स्ट ईयर में आए, खुद को डॉक्टर समझ के बैठे, और किसी हॉस्पिटल में सीखने जाए या ना जाए, किसी क्लिनिक में सीखने जाए या ना जाए, फिर इंटर्नशिप में आते हैं और सवाल करते हैं कि होम्योपैथी कुछ नहीं करता, बेटर हम जॉब कर लेंगे और हमें क्लिनिकल आता नहीं है, हमें अभी सीखना है। भाई सीखना पहले दिन से होता है। फर्स्ट टू फाइनल ईयर आपको टिप टू द टंग सब कुछ सीखना ही है। इवन मेडिकल इज द लास्ट तक सीखना है, बट बेसिक आपके पास क्लियर नहीं होगा। और कंपेयर करते हो कि आप एलोपैथी की प्रिस्क्रिप्शन को गलत कर दोगे, कैसे गलत करोगे? आपके पास तो बेसिक नॉलेज ही नहीं होगा। यू हैव टू गेट इट, फॉर दैट यू हैव टू लर्निंग फ्रॉम ऑल द मास्टर्स, लर्निंग फ्रॉम ऑल द फिजिशियन, लर्निंग फ्रॉम ऑल द होम्योपैथ। अगर एक गली में बैठा हुआ कोई होम्योपैथ है या बड़ी कोई मेट्रो सिटी में बैठा हुआ कोई मास्टर फिजिशियन, सबके पास से सीखना है। ऑल्दो आपको एलोपैथिक डॉक्टर के पास भी सीखना है, बिकॉज दे हैव द पावर टू कैप्चर द केस। हम केस टेकिंग करते हैं, वो फ्यू मिनट्स में केस कैप्चर करते हैं। आई हैव सीन सच एलोपैथिक डॉक्टर्स जो 18 पेजों का केस टेकिंग करते हैं, 20 पेज का केस टेकिंग करते हैं। लाइक समटाइम आई थिंक क्या होम्योपैथ होके हम इतना कर पाएंगे? फिजिकल लेवल पे भी किसी पेशेंट का फिजिकल इतना चेक हम कर पाएंगे? फॉर दैट वी ऑल नीड टू लर्न। और उसके बाद जो भी सीखा उसको प्रैक्टिस। घूम फिर के आप कितना भी आओगे, आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे तो ही आप अपना क्लिनिक बना पाओगे। बिकॉज क्लिनिक इज द ड्रीम फॉर एवरीवन, वेदर इट इज क्लिनिक और हॉस्पिटल, वॉट एवर यू मेक, इट इज ड्रीम फॉर ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स। और सपना साकार करना है तो फिर सो के सपने नहीं देखे जा सकते, आंखें खोल के उन सपनों को हकीकत में ही बदला जा सकता है। तो इसके बेस पे आई वुड जस्ट एक छोटा सा केस शेयर करना चाहूंगा, जो मेरी भतीजी का ही है। कल सुबह से क्लिनिक पे लेके आए थे। आई एम नो वन टू हियर टीच और शेयर मच बिग थिंग्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ द मेनी सीनियर प्रैक्टिशनर्स। स्टूडेंट्स के लिए क्या चीज बेसिक केस में हमें करनी चाहिए और क्या चीजें हमें परसीव करनी चाहिए और किस बेस पे हम बेसिक प्रिस्क्रिप्शन स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं, वो सिर्फ मैं स्लाइड में शेयर करना चाहूंगा। कि फीमेल 3 years ओल्ड, कल सुबह 10:30 के आसपास भैया उसे क्लिनिक में लेके आए। चीफ कंप्लेन में था कि बायोलेटरल टॉन्सिलाइटिस, उसके कलर पिंक थे विथ फीवर, बॉडी हॉट, नो चिल नो स्वेट। अब जो फीवर है उसके स्टेज आपको क्लियर कट करने ही पड़ेंगे। इट इज हीट, चिल, स्वेट, अल्टरनेट हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, पहले चिल आ रहा है, हीट आ रहा है, वो बोर्निंग के हिसाब से आपको पढ़ने ही पड़ेंगे। मेरे पास जब है तब टेम्परेचर अप्रोक्स 99.2 फ़ारेनहाइट डिग्री था और वो 3 दिन से कंप्लेन था। दे आर टेकिंग द एलोपैथिक मेडिसिन बट नॉट रिलीफ एट ऑल। 3 दिन से कुछ भी उन्हें रिलीफ नहीं था। अब जो टॉन्सिल्स थे उसके ऊपर फॉलिकल डेवलप हो चुके थे एंड दैट फॉलिकल आर येलोइश व्हाइट इन द कलर। अगर उसका प्रॉपर ट्रीटमेंट नहीं हुआ तो नेक्स्ट डे इट विल कन्वर्ट इन द अल्सर ऑफ द टॉन्सिलाइटिस। उसका सेंसेशन क्या है? उसका सेंसेशन मतलब जनरली बच्चे बस यही बोल रही है चाचू गले में दर्द हो रहा है, वो डिस्क्राइब नहीं कर पा रही है। और पेरेंट्स का भी क्या कि मतलब वो थोड़ी ना बता पाएंगे स्क्रैपिंग हो रहा है, स्टिचिंग हो रहा है, जस्ट टिक पेन इन थ्रोट मोडालिटी। वो खुद ही बोल रही है कि चाचू मैं कुछ खा रही हूँ तब दर्द कर रहा है, थूक निकल रही हूँ तो भी दर्द कर रहा है, और पानी पी रही हूँ तो भी दर्द ही कर रहा है। मैंने उसको पूछा कि भैया को कि और कुछ कंप्लेन है क्या, तो दे आर सेइंग कि कॉन्स्टिपेशन कुछ टाइम से है, स्टूल हार्ड रहता है पर कलर नॉर्मल है, टाइम इरेग्युलर है, कभी सुबह कभी दोपहर कभी शाम, और कभी कभी 1-2 दिन तक भी उसे स्टूल पास करने के लिए नहीं जाना पड़ता है। और जब भी स्टूल पास करती है तब उसे पेट में थोड़ा सा दर्द रहता है और वो चिल्लाती है कि पापा मम्मी दर्द हो रहा है। और कॉज कहाँ से है? आफ्टर हैविंग आइसक्रीम, कोल्ड थिंग्स टू मच इन द समर ऑन द रेगुलर बेस। मतलब कजिन ने मुझे तब बताया कि मयूर सुबह के टाइम पे मैं, दोपहर को इसकी मम्मी, शाम को दादाजी, तीनों टाइम हम अलग अलग कैंडीज लेके देते थे, कोई आइसक्रीम की, कोई कुल्फी या कुछ भी लेके देते थे। और उसके अलावा अगर रात को बोल रहे मुझे ठंडा खाना है तो इसको हम और भी कुछ गन्ने का जूस और कुछ भी घर पे जूस बना के दे देते थे। तो इतना सारा लास्ट समर से वो 1 महीने से ले ही रही है। फिजिकल जर्नल्स, एपेटाइट, भूख अब कम लग रही है, डिक्रीज, थर्स्ट डिक्रीज, डिजायर, स्वीट थिंग, कोल्ड थिंग, आइसक्रीम, कोल्ड वाटर। मतलब कोई भी कंडीशन में हम परी से पूछ ले कि बेटा पानी चाहिए तो वो खुद सामने से बोलती है कि मुझे ठंडा पानी ही दो। अवेयर्सन टू वेजिटेबल्स, वो पहले से मुझे पता है कि नहीं खाती है। हैबिट कोई स्पेसिफिक नहीं है उसका। परस्पिरेशन नॉर्मल, और थर्मल डिसाइड कर लो। Thermal is very useful to sometimes click the medicine in the crack the case, in the special in the acute case. Chronic में भी उसका सेम इज इम्पोर्टेंट है। सो मैं किस बेस पे थर्मल सिलेक्ट करता हूँ? दैट आर द फ्यू ग्लिम्स हियर। लाइक मैं पूछता हूँ कि पानी कैसे पिया, ड्रिंक, डिजायर फॉर द कोल्ड वाटर, बाथ ऑल सीजन, से गर्म पानी से नहाना है, कवरिंग ऑल सीजन, थोड़ी सी चादर तो चाहिए, फैन या एसी, गर्मियों में उसे एसी लगता है, और फैन ऑफ द सीजनेबल, एक्सटर्नली बॉडी कोल्ड रहता है उसका थोड़ा, इंटरनल कांट नैरेट, सीजन लाइक समर उसे अच्छा लगता है, और कौन सी सीजन में एग्रावेशन। तो ऑल द वेदर चेंज एग्रावेट हर, मतलब भैया से भाभी से फिर से मेरी फोन पे भी बात हुई, और कोल्ड एंड डैम्प वेदर में जैसे भी कोई वेदर चेंज हुआ इट क्लिक हर, और कुछ ना कुछ छोटी मोटी बीमारी सर्दी बुखार हो ही जाएगा। पास्ट हिस्ट्री में ऐसे 2021 में टाइफाइड हुआ था, और एवरी वेदर चेंज कोल्ड कोराइजा एंड फीवर। फैमिली हिस्ट्री जहां तक इसकी मुझे पता है, दादाजी को आरए, दादी माँ डाइड फ्रॉम द स्प्लीनोमेगाली, फादर हैज द एट द एज ऑफ 33, इसके पापा को हाइपरटेंशन डायबिटीज है, मदर को एपिलेप्सी था और अभी भी उसकी रूटीन मेडिसिन वो ले रहे हैं। सिबलिंग मतलब कि उसकी मम्मी को पहले डिलीवरी हुआ था एंड चाइल्ड वाज डाइड विद द मेकोनियम्स एस्पायरेशन। उसकी जो बड़ी बुआ है उसको ओबेसिटी और आरए है, छोटी बुआ हाइपरटेंशन, डायबिटीज और ओसीडी है, उसके बड़े पापा को रिंगवर्म रहा हुआ है, नानी को नर्व कंप्रेशन है, उसके मामा डाइड ड्यू टू एसएलई सिस्टमिक लूपस, और वो कुछ 2 महीने पहले ही डेथ हुई है उनकी एट द एज ऑफ 19 ईयर्स, और उनकी मासी को भी माइग्रेन है। She is born by the LSCS, milestone talk, walk, seat, teeth, all developed by the time. Although acute में हनीमैन सर ने कहा है कि sometimes it is not necessary कि आप इतना डिटेल लें, whatever the present symptom, just वो लेके भी आप केस क्रैक कर सकते हैं, but for understanding of the case and for the understanding of the case processing, मैंने ये सब डिटेल लिया था and I mention here also, उसका constitution fair and flabby है, but fatty नहीं है। मेंटल्स एज ऑफ नाउ नथिंग, कुछ स्पेसिफिक नहीं था। तो ये केस हमने देख लिया, अब इस केस में क्या करना है? सबसे बड़ा सवाल ये कि हम केस बहुत देखते हैं, बहुत सुनते हैं, बहुत सीनियर्स के साथ मतलब कि अटेंड करते हैं, पर उन केस में करना क्या है? हमें एफोरिज्म 6 को में पढ़ाया गया है कि बी द अनप्रेजुडाइज्ड ऑब्जर्वर, बी द अनप्रेजुडाइज्ड ऑब्जर्वर। डू वी रियली अनप्रेजुडाइज्ड? क्या हम सच में अनप्रेजुडाइज्ड हैं? हमें अपने आप से पूछना चाहिए, क्योंकि जब भी केस आता है हम तो पहले मेडिसिन सोचना शुरू कर देते हैं, या तो डिजीज को कोरिलेट करना सोचते हैं, या तो इस केस में क्या नया ढूंढे हम पहले से सोच लेते हैं। हम ना केस रिसीव फॉर्मेशन में नहीं होते। दो सिस्टम होते हैं, एक गिवन होता है और एक रिसीवर होता है। बी द रिसीवर। हनीमैन सर ने कितना मतलब 6th एफोरिज्म में इतना क्लियर कट लिखा है, द अनप्रेजुडाइज्ड ऑब्जर्वर वेल अवेयर ऑफ द फ्यूटिलिटी ऑफ द ट्रांसकेंडल स्पेकुलेशन which can receive no confirmation from the experience। मतलब पहले को कोई एक्सपीरियंस है, हमें वो कंफर्म नहीं करना है कि हाँ पिछले पेशेंट का टॉन्सिलाइटिस ऐसा था तो इसका ऐसा हो सकता है, या तो इसका ऐसा ही है। His power of the presentation ever so great takes note of nothing in every individual disease except the change in the health of the body and of the mind। मतलब बॉडी और माइंड में जो चेंज है उसके अलावा और कुछ ना लीजिए, उसको पहले नोट करिए। वो कौन सी चेंजेस होने चाहिए? दैट इज द मॉर्बिड फिनोमेना, एक्सीडेंट्स एंड द सिम्टम, वेदर इट इज द सिम्टम्स ऑफ द एक्साइटिंग कॉज, मेंटेनिंग कॉज और द फंडामेंटल कॉज। अब अगर ये एक्यूट कंडीशन में हमारे पास पेशेंट है तो उसका एक्साइटिंग कॉज कहते हैं कि आइसक्रीम और ये सब ज्यादा खा के आया है, सो ऊपर से वेदर भी चेंज हुआ है, बारिश ज्यादा हो रही है, डैम्प वेदर ज्यादा है, विच कैन बी परसीव्ड एक्सटर्नली बाय द मीन्स ऑफ द सेंस, जो हमारी सेंस और पेशेंट की सेंस दोनों की सेंस से परसीव होना चाहिए। That is to say, in notice or not only the deviation from the former healthy state of the now disease individual। मतलब एक इंसान नॉर्मल स्टेट में कैसे चलता फिरता खाता पीता है, उसमें से उसको डिस्टर्बेंस हुआ, उसको ही डेविएशन बोलना है। हमें अपने स्पेकुलेशन नहीं लगाने हैं कि वो अगर क्लिनिक में आके बोलता है कि सर मुझे जल्दी ठीक कर दो, जल्दी ठीक कर दो, दैट इज डिजायर फॉर कैरिंग फास्ट। अपने स्पेकुलेशन मत लगाओ। अभी उसका क्या है, उसका डेविएशन कितना है और उसका नॉर्मल स्टेट क्या है, और उसको डेविएशन होने के बाद वो कौन से डिजीज में आता है, तब जाके वो इंडिविजुअल आपको पता चले। विच आर फेल्ट बाय द पेशेंट हिमसेल्फ, पेशेंट को खुद को पता लगना चाहिए। रिमार्क बाय दोज अराउंड हिम एंड ऑब्जर्व बाय द फिजिशियन, आजू बाजू वालों को, उसके पेरेंट्स को भी पता चला, पेशेंट को भी पता है कि चाचू मुझे गले में दर्द हो रहा है, और फिजिशियन ने ऑब्जर्व किया कि ये में क्या चेंज है। हमें उसे फोर्स नहीं करना है कि तुझे सपने आते हैं कि नहीं आते हैं। अब नहीं आते हैं तो याद करके कौन से आते हैं, इससे केस क्रैक नहीं होते, इससे आप सिर्फ सिचुएशन को लंबा खींच रहे हैं। All these perceptible signs represent the disease in its whole extent। अगर आप सही से नोट करके परसीव कर दोगे ना तो ऑटोमेटिकली डिजीज होल एक्सटेंट में आपको मिल ही जाएगा। That is, together they form the true and only convincible portrait of disease। सिक्स्थ एफोरिज्म में सिर्फ अनप्रेजुडाइज्ड ऑब्जर्वर की बात नहीं है, वो पोर्ट्रेट ऑफ डिजीज के बारे में भी बता रहा है। और थर्ड एफोरिज्म में हम पढ़ते हैं कि व्हाट इज टू बी क्योर्ड इन डिजीज, that perceptible sign and symptom which represent the entire totality, that is to be cured in the disease। थर्ड एफोरिज्म का आंसर सिक्स्थ एफोरिज्म में है, तब जाके हम सेकंड एफोरिज्म को, अब आगे के एफोरिज्म से पीछे से चलो, जैसे कि एफोरिज्म 7 के फुटनोट में हनीमैन सर ने लिखा है, एवरी इंटेलिजेंट फिजिशियन मस्ट नो वेयर इट इज एग्जिस्ट। तो हमें पता होना चाहिए कि वो कहाँ पे रह रहा है। सिंपल सी बात है, अगर हम किसी भी गवर्नमेंट को ले ले, उसे एक बड़े से आतंकवादी को पकड़ना है तो उसे पता होना चाहिए कि वो आतंकवादी मुंबई में है, दिल्ली में है, दुबई में, कहाँ पे, वेयर इट इज एग्जिस्ट। फिर उसका पोर्ट्रेट उसके पास होना चाहिए, वो कैसा दिखता है, उसका क्या है, उसके कहाँ कहाँ फैला हुआ है, फुल एक्सटेंट में उसके पास होना चाहिए। तब जाके डेविएशन फ्रॉम द हेल्थ वो क्या क्या सोसाइटी में बिगाड़ रहा है, क्या क्या खराब काम कर रहा है, और कौन से कोजेज उसके पीछे लगे हुए हैं, और कौन कौन उसको सपोर्ट कर रहा है, दैट इज द एक्सटर्नल कोज, मेंटेनिंग कोज, और फिर रहता है फंडामेंटल कोज। तब जाके उसको पकड़ो कि हाँ ये इसका राइट हैंड है, ये इसका लेफ्ट हैंड है। ये सिंपल एग्जांपल मैं सबको देता हूँ कि इसका राइट हैंड है, ये इसका लेफ्ट हैंड है। एंड देन थर्ड फोर्थ एफोरिज्म क्या आता है, जुडिशियस एंड द रेशनल वे ऑफ क्योर एंड द knowledge which physician have to acquire in order to treat the person। मतलब हमें क्या क्या नॉलेज होना चाहिए, नॉलेज ऑफ डिजीज, नॉलेज ऑफ क्या बोलते हैं मेडिसिन, नॉलेज ऑफ ड्रग प्रूविंग, नॉलेज ऑफ डायनेमाइजेशन। तो हमें पता होना चाहिए ना कि इसका राइट हैंड है वो किस तरफ से कट हो पाएगा, इसका लेफ्ट हैंड है इसको कहाँ से हम अटैक कर पाएंगे। तब जाके हमें पता चलेगा कि व्हाट इज टू बी क्योर्ड इन डिजीज, मतलब उस इंसान को डायरेक्ट मारना है कि उसे कहीं और से अटैक करना है। एंड देन आफ्टर हम सेकंड एफोरिज्म में पहुंचेंगे, दैट इज द परमानेंट रिस्टोरेशन ऑफ द हेल्थ इन द शॉर्टेस्ट एंड द मोस्ट रिलायबल टाइम। और तब जाके हमारी फर्स्ट एफोरिज्म, द फिजिशियंस मिशन टू रिस्टोर द सिक टू हेल्थ टू क्योर एज इट इज, वो कंप्लीट होगा। सो रिवर्स ऑर्डर में जाओ और रियलिटी को समझो। हम ये 7 एफोरिज्म भी समझ जाएंगे तो केस टेकिंग, केस प्रोसेसिंग, मेडिसिन क्रैकिंग सब एक साथ है। तो हमने मटेरिया मेडिका के हिसाब से केस टेकिंग कर लिया, जो भी हमें मेंटल्स लेने थे, फिजिकल्स लेने थे, फिजिकल जर्नल लेने थे। अब ऑर्गेनोन को भी इस केस में कैसे अप्लाई करना है वो भी सीख लिया। तो आई वुड आस्क फ्यू ऑफ यू, लाइक आपको क्या लगता है कि इस केस का मेडिसिन क्या होना चाहिए। अब आखिरी स्टेप बचा रेपर्टराइजेशन। हम ना आइदर डिपेंड हो जाते हैं कि सिर्फ मटेरिया आता है तो मटेरिया से मेडिसिन दे दो, ऑर्गेनोन आता है तो फिलोसॉफी लगा दो, रेपर्टरी आता है तो सिर्फ रेपर्टरी से केस देखो। नहीं, तीनों एक साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। तो एनी ऑफ यू कैन सजेस्ट एनी मेडिसिन, आपको क्या क्लिक हो रही है, क्या लग रहा है आपको क्या होगा इस केस में। सिंपल सा केस है। हेलो, I cannot see anyone's message, so if you don't mind, can you unmute your mic and speak something?
Somebody has suggested phosphorus.
Okay, very good.
Maitri has suggested phosphorus. Any other
Okay.
suggestions, Dhruv? Belladonna.
Okay. So all the suggestion are keep in my mind: phosphorus, silicia, belladonna. बट आई थॉट कि एक बार रेपर्टराइजेशन कर लेते हैं, कहीं ना कहीं कुछ सिम्टम लेने में हमसे गलती हो जाए, कहीं हम किसी कॉमन सिम्टम को ले बैठते हैं या तो कुछ सिंपल थिंग को लेके हम कहीं किसी और मेडिसिन की तरफ डाइवर्ट ना हो जाए। So I did repertorization in the HomePath software. First I took the rubric that is it may be not clear here because of the image resolution. Boric repertory. Music कहाँ से आ रहा है? Okay.
It is good to have music at the time of repertorization, but it is better to have. Please mute your microphone. Okay, thank you very much. It has been done.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dr. Mayur.
यस सर। हाँ, तो बोरिक रेपर्टरी से रूब्रिक लिया कि एक्यूट कंडीशन कैटारल एंड द फॉलिकल्स ऑन द टॉन्सिल्स। मैं इन एक्यूट कंडीशन एंड द फीवर कंडीशन आई यूज्ड टू यूज द बोनिंग रेपर्टरी। आई टेक द कॉन्स्टिपेशन एज जनरल। कंप्लीट रेपर्टरी से मैंने एक रूब्रिक और क्लासिफाई करने के लिए लिखा है, कॉन्स्टिपेशन इन द चिल्ड्रन। एंड इन द कॉन्स्टिपेशन देयर इज वन concomitant stool during pain in the abdomen during passing the stool. So the medicine came in the totality: Merxol, Sulf, Lachesis, Naxomica, Silicia, Lyco, Netromil, many much are there. So on the basis of totality and the क्या बोलते हैं कि modalities, जो कि डैम्प वेदर में मर्कसॉल को एग्रावेशन होता है, कोल्ड वेदर में एग्रावेशन होता है, कोल्ड चीज से, कोल्ड थिंग से एग्रावेशन होता है। एंड अपीयरेंस इज tonsils are the pinkish in the color but follicles are the yellowish white, मतलब maybe उसके अंदर pus हो सकता है but I could not differentiate that much in the child. So hello, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Okay.
Go-
So I give Merxol
Yes, you are
200
audible.
की 2 dose. दोपहर को खाना खाने से पहले और रात को खाना खाने से पहले, followed by the SLQDS 4 time in a day SL. सुबह को जब मैं क्लिनिक निकल रहा था, then I asked the भाभी by the call कि कैसा है उसे, and she said कि उसे बुखार नहीं है, उसे गले में पेन नहीं है, माइल्ड स्वेलिंग जैसा लग रहा है, एंड स्टूल पास्ड स्मूथली इन द मॉर्निंग, एंड टिल नाउ बेबी मींस मेरी भतीजी शी इज वेल, अभी खेल रही थी घर पे जब मैं रिटर्न आया तब, एंड शी इज ऑल फाइन. So this is what basic thing we all the students need to learn in every case taking, case processing, case repertorization, prescribing the medicine, selecting the medicine. उसके लिए आपको मटेरिया, ऑर्गेनो और रेपर्टर तीनों का एक शार्प नॉलेज, क्विक रिव्यू जैसा होना ही चाहिए. So here I would like to conclude my session as a कि आजकल ना हम सब डिस्टर्ब हुए बैठे हैं कि कंप्लेन करते हैं कि हमें कॉलेजेस में नहीं मिल रहा है, हमें कहीं से सीखने नहीं मिल रहा है, या तो इतना हम सोशल मीडिया पे डाइवर्ट हो चुके हैं कि बस वहीं से पढ़ लिया और उसे अप्लाई करने का ट्राई कर लिया. रिसेंटली एक मेरे बहुत ही अच्छे सर हैं, सीनियर मोस्ट डॉक्टर, उन्होंने मुझे समझाया कि वी ऑल आर द डॉक्टर्स, वी आर द मेडिकोस. तो पेशेंट को टच किए बिना, पेशेंट को आंखों से देखे बिना आप कितना ही कर लो, आप पूरा का पूरा जज नहीं कर पाओगे, पूरा का पूरा सीख नहीं कर पाओगे. बेटर जितने भी पेशेंट है उसे एग्जामिनेशन करो, उसका पाल्पिटेशन, ऑस्कल्टेशन, जो भी आपको आता है वो करो. और एक कुछ भी स्क्रीन, वॉट एवर हैपन इन द स्क्रीन ऑलवेज स्टे इन द स्क्रीन, एंड वॉट इज हैपन बाय द हार्ट ऑलवेज वर्क बाय द हार्ट. तो अपने फील्ड को, अपने फेथी को सीखने के लिए भी बाय हार्ट तैयार रहो और अप्लाई करने के लिए भी बाय हार्ट तैयार रहो, क्योंकि हिपोक्रेट्स ने उसके एफोरिज्म्स में लिखा है, दिस इज आई मेंशन इन माय सेकंड बुक एफोरिज्म ऑफ द हिपोक्रेट्स, फर्स्ट एफोरिज्म यही है कि लाइफ इज शॉर्ट, आर्ट लॉन्ग, ओकेजन ब्रीफ, एक्सपीरियंस फैलेशियस. घूम फिर के बाद एक्सपीरियंस पे आती है, जितना एक्सपीरियंस होगा उतना ही आप बेस्ट कर पाओगे, क्योंकि जिंदगी बहुत छोटी है बाबू मोशाई. जजमेंटल डिफिकल्ट, it is requested that the physician exhibits what is essential and that the patient, attendants and all which surround him concur therein. वो सबके लिए इक्वल होना चाहिए, किसी के लिए भी जजमेंटल नहीं होना चाहिए. एंड हियर एक प्रिंटिंग मिस्टेक हो गई कि एफोरिज्म ऑफ हिपोक्रेट्स जो लास्ट मैंने लिखा है that is the 8.18, मतलब कि लास्ट एफोरिज्म जो है हिपोक्रेट्स की. I would conclude my session with it, and उसके बाद एक छोटी सी मेरी एक शायरी सुनाऊंगा, what I feel to be motivated in my life, मैंने एक लिखी थी. तो आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट टू ऑल ऑफ यू कि एक फ्यू मिनट्स के लिए, जब तक ये एफोरिज्म में पढ़ो तब तक अपनी आंखें बंद करो, गहरी सांस लो, और जो एफोरिज्म में आपके साथ साझा करना चाहता हूँ उसे महसूस करो कि आखिर वो क्या है, क्या है ह्यूमन लाइफ, क्या है एक डॉक्टर की लाइफ, और क्या है एक पेशेंट की लाइफ. ऑल रेडी? So here, take deep breath. The closing scene at length arrives when the heat of the soul, placed near the umbilicus, ascend above the diaphragm, and the humors of the body are entirely dissipated. It is then that the lungs and the pulse lose their humidity, that the heat locally concentrate itself previous to its final extinction, and that the spirit of heat, of which all things consist, leave its tenement forever. Lastly, the soul, partially by the pores of skin, partially by the orifice of the head, which have served the various purpose of life, leaves its earthly tabernacle and abandons the cold and inanimate image of man, now wholly made up of bile, of blood, of serum, and of vital force and flashes. This is from my side, guys. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much for giving your time. I would request you one thing, that heal thyself, heal yourself to heal the humanity. For that, keep yourself empty. और छोटा सा ही एक नज्म आपके सामने रखूंगा कि जिंदगी में जो करना है उसके लिए, कि पहुंचेगा तू अंबर पे, वो मंगल तुझसे दूर न होगा. एक बात याद रखना प्यारे, एक दिन सकल विश्व भी तेरा होगा. अभी मिली है तुझे जीत छोटी सी, अभी तो आपने BHMS पास किया, अभी तो फाइनल ईयर पास किया है, अभी इंटर्नशिप किया है, अभी मिली है तुझे जीत छोटी सी, तूने की है प्रीत खुद से ही. तो निकल इस जहां में बाहर और कर ले सबसे प्यार, क्योंकि नहीं बनता सिकंदर कोई जीत के एक बार, नहीं बनता सिकंदर कोई जीत के एक बार. Win on the disease, win on the world to heal the humanity with homeopathy. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mayur Jaswani. Anyone have any question regarding this session? Please raise your hand.
Yes, Maitri, put across your points.
Yes, Dr. Maitri, I have seen your message that desire for the ice cream, that is 3 mark phosphorus. And I'm agreed with you, but phosphorus cannot cover the constitution, constipation in this case. That's why I shifted on the Merck salt. And that's why there is no totality of the phosphorus in the case. मुझे भी पहले phosphorus ही दिमाग में आया क्योंकि cold weather है, cold aggravation है. तो बोनिंग हुसैन ने मर्क सॉल और फॉस्फोरस दोनों को ह्यूमन बैरोमीटर कहा है. जैसे ही वेदर चेंज होगा इन दोनों को सेम इक्वली में अफेक्ट होगा. बट फॉस्फोरस के अंदर वो पस फॉर्मेशन, वो डिरेंजमेंट इतना ज्यादा नहीं होगा. फॉस्फोरस में बिगिनिंग स्टेज होगा, बर्निंग होगा. इस केस में बर्निंग नहीं है, सिंपल पेन. कहीं पे भी जलन जैसा किसी ने भी मेंशन नहीं किया है. सो एज पर द एफोरिज्म 6 आई वुड आंसर कि जो परसीव हो रहा है वो देखो, डोंट इंटरप्रेट. ये सोच के मैंने मर्कसोल दिया. एंड आई एम एग्रीड विथ यू दैट्स गुड थिंग कि आपने रेपर्टरी से बताया कि फॉस्फोरस इज 3 मार्क फॉर द आइसक्रीम डिजायर.
Thank you, Dr. Mayur.
Thank you
Any
so
other
much, sir.
questions? Any other questions? Yes. Yes, Priya. It was really motivating and inspiring session, and Dr. Mayur really shared from his heart to express his gratitude towards whatever he has learned so far from various situations, from various people, from various books, from various experiences. And that is what he really is so benevolent that whatever he has, he really wants to share to others. So before coming to all those aspects, we invite our guest of honor, Dr. Professor Principal Dr. Priti Muni, if what are her words for this expression and sharing.
Sir, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this webinar. It's a very good gesture from your side, as well as all your co-partners who are working to a greater cause of motivating these budding students. Because right when I passed out from Savli years back, the whole scenario then and now is much different. Means here at present the students are very enthusiastic to learn. They have various modules of learning, especially the digitalization. We can still learn from each other, the sharing of our knowledges. So it's a very good gesture from your side. So I thank you so much, sir. And moreover, we have learned a very hard way. I used to travel every month from Bhavnagar to Baroda, 3 days, used to stay there, learn ICR methodology, come back, do the homework, again go back. This digitalization has made the world smaller and it's become so easy to share things with each other. So once again, the inspiring buddies of homeopath, I just wish you all the best for your future and see to it that homeopathy keeps on growing year by year. Thank you, sir.
It was my privilege to observe Dr. Manali Jain and Dr. Mayur Jaswani growing up right from their budding phase. Dr. Manali was in the same college where I had an opportunity to have the association for 28 years. And she is the person with always a novel idea, not to get carried away by whatever is simply taught or simply following the things like ends. But she has her own way of thinking, correlating, presenting, and practicing. She came forward to share her experience of where she got stuck, where she got prejudiced, where she got trapped in her own images. But that is what is the story with all of us at some or other point of time. Otherwise, how the case was continued for so long with Chamomilla and Senicula, whereas some outside observer comes forward and says that, oh, everything is so fine, we are continuing with their medicines, patient is happy and parents are happy and they are coming from so far and they continue to have the treatment. But is the very big thing that we require to attend, and that but is that what about this motion sickness? Child cannot sit in the car, and the first thing she demands is open up the windows, even though there is AC, and parents have to do that. And that was the first thing that breaks the bubble in which the physician is trapped. And then the journey begins. So we all have to have a physician within us. We all have to have observer within us. And that is what Dr. Jaswani also put across the point. And in Dr. Jaswani, the name itself has a Jas in it. And I met him when he was doing internship, and I never knew that he's a person who has achieved so many things right from the his studentship itself, taking up all the opportunities to make himself grow further. Opportunities are there, but we always want somebody to do it. But he took up his step ahead, and what he put in his slide, reading, the reading that what he had started at the 8th or 9th standard itself to such a great extent that he represented himself. His life story is little different. He presented himself in the competition of reading and presenting ideas of various authors, connecting with the life in front of the authors. He had to express everything. When he was in the first year, in the beginning itself, as somebody who could go to WHO, and he was the first student. So the idea is not that he was the first student. The idea is that anybody of us could have been the first, or even if he's first, we could have continued that particular journey. But we stop ourselves somewhere because we always, as a student, intern, practitioner, or even in the later phase of the life, we want somebody to do it. And when somebody has to do it, ultimately it ends up nobody is doing about it. And everybody has paid fees. Everybody wants to be a good doctor. Everybody wants to earn name, fame, and power. But whenever it comes to the practice, we say somebody will do it. And that is what Dr. Jaswani said, that practice is action. Action is the main thing. We have to do action. And Dr. Jaswani, thank you very much for presenting your experience of the life. It appeared theoretical thing, but no. I know when I am in touch with you, that I know that everything what you said, there was the experience, and you passed through that phases and reaching to this level of the practice. So that is what is the story of Dr. Priti Muni, that this is a group by students, for students, and of students. And we all remain students for our lifetime. And irrespective of the age, irrespective of the number of the practice, experience, till the time we don't become what is demanded by Henneman to be a physician. Only three simple things we require to do, which is the most difficult things, even more difficult than climbing Everest, that is becoming unprejudiced observer, having sound senses and fidelity of mind. We don't do this. It is not that we don't know it. We don't do it because it is not, without this also, we survive, our life continues and we don't need to do this. So that is why we just remain confused. And person like Dr. Jaswani or Dr. Manali comes forward and point out that yes, my dear, we require to heal ourselves, we require to break our bubble, and we require to grow. Thank you very much, all the fellows who has joined this group to develop fellowship, and we will again meet after fortnight with the same zeal, same enthusiasm, and same process of learning. Till that time, good night and see you soon. Thank you, Dr. Priti Muni. Yeah.
Good night, sir.
Okay. Bye. Good night.